Hi there BookTube, it's Eleanor here and today I'm doing a haul. So I've got quite a few books to show you today. They're all books bar a few that I haven't really heard of before. I made a trip to one of my favourite secondhand bookshops and I just went roaming. I spent a good few hours there. I had time this time, I wasn't in a rush, and I just really browsed and enjoyed browsing and picked up some beauties, I think. So, and definitely ones that I'm interested in trying and I haven't heard of. So the first one I picked up, I think a lot of these are going to be older books, so books that have been out for quite a few years, so it may be that people have heard of them and I just missed the boat when it came around the first time. But the first one I picked up is Stray by Monica Hess. I really like the look of this, and then when I read the back I was like, right, that's definitely for me. It's about a girl, I'm not sure how old she's well, her name's Lona 16 Always, so maybe she's 16, I don't know. She's always been part of this virtual reality program for 23 hours a day, where she's been reliving the memories of a boy who lived 25 years previous. And then she's sort of rescued from this world by somebody who pulls her into the real world, and then she perhaps discovers that the real world isn't rainbows and wonderful things that she thought. I don't know, but it just looks interesting, and from looking on Goodreads, it's got good ratings. It's not got many people have read it, but it's got good ratings, and it's also, I think, part of a series, so I'm looking forward to trying in this and seeing what I think. Next I picked up a book by Gabrielle Zevin called All These Things I've Done. I really enjoyed Gabrielle Zevin's storied life of AJ Fickery, and I'm really intrigued by this one. It's a very different story. So this is set in a future world in 2082. It's about a girl called Anya who is arrested for attempted murder, I believe, and she is given a bargain by the DA that she can go free or reduce her sentence, but she has to give up the boy that she's in love with, and the boy happens to be, I think, the DA's son, and her family are the sort of head of the criminal underworld, and it just sounds really interesting and something a bit different, so I'm looking forward to trying it out. Next up is a book that I have heard of and seen a few times. It's had mixed reviews, but I just couldn't turn this one down. It was so cheap and I just love the look of it. It's Space Dumpling by Craig Thompson. This is a graphic novel. It is exactly the type of colour palette that I enjoy, something bright and fun and cartoony looking, and it reminds me a little bit of the sort of colours and bright colours used in I Hate Fairyland, and so I'm looking forward to trying this one out and seeing what I think. I think it is a children's graphic novel. It's the story of Violet, and her father goes missing while he's out on a job in space and she must go and rescue him, so I'm just excited about this one. I love a good graphic novel and hopefully I'll enjoy it. The next book I picked up very much on a sort of whim. It was just one of those books that I just sort of felt that I was going to enjoy. It's strange, I know, but it reminded me a little bit of like Chocolat and a little bit of The Mistress of Spices, and I just really liked the feel of the book when I started reading the synopsis. So I'm going to read you the back. It says, Florence, 1466, a lust for life, a passion for power and a taste for adventure. In Florence, everyone has a passion. With 60,000 souls crammed into a cobweb of clattering streets, countless alleys, cloisters and churches, they live their lives in the narrow world between walls. Nino Latini knows that if you want to survive without losing yourself completely, you've got to have a passion. But Nino's greatest gift will be his greatest curse. Nino can taste things that other people cannot. Every flavour, every ingredient comes alive for him as vividly as a painting, and he puts his artistry to increasingly extravagant use. In an age of gluttony and conspicuous consumption, his unique talent leads him into danger. His desire for the beautiful Ticina del Marza and his longing to create the perfect feast could prove deadly. Nino must flee Florence to save his life, and if he ever wants to see his beloved again, he must entrust himself entirely to the tender mercies of fortune. So we shall see with this one, but I'm really intrigued by it, and it just tantalised my taste buds. The next book looks really interesting. It's called Moth and Spark by Anne Leonard. This sounds like it's going to be a romance, but there are dragons involved and magic, and one of the characters is a seer and gets visions, and it just sounds really, really fun. So I can't resist a book with dragons like most people, so I picked this one up to see what I think. Next up is a book that I've wanted to read for ages, and I recently heard on a podcast someone talking about it and explaining it really well and really making me feel like I could read it. And that is The Three Body Problem by Cixin Liu. Now, I think a lot of booktubers, especially the SFF community, have read this one, and I know they loved it. And then I think a lot of them read book 2 in this and were not so impressed. However, I'm going to try the first one and see what I think for myself. I believe it's about a sort of virtual reality world. Let's see what it says in the back. For 1967, Yi Wenji witnesses Red Guards beating her father to death during China's Cultural Revolution. This singular event will shape not only the rest of her life but the future of mankind. 4 decades later, Beijing police ask nanotech engineer Wang Miao to infiltrate a secretive cabal of scientists after a spate of inexplicable suicides. Wang investigations will lead him to a mysterious online game and immerse him into a virtual world ruled by the intractable and unpredictable interaction of its 3 sons. This is the 3-body problem, and it is the key to everything. The key to the scientist's death, the key to a conspiracy that spans light years, and the key to the extinction level threat humanity now faces. I just think this sounds a little bit Ready Player One and a little bit, I don't know, maybe Lock-In. I don't know, it just sounds really interesting, so I can't wait to give it a try. On the never-ending quest for short stories, I saw this one, I read the blurb, and it instantly gripped me, and so hopefully it's going to be a good one. It's called Supergirl, and it's by Ruth Thomas, and I love this cover. It's got average ratings on Goodreads, but as I say, I love the cover, and the blurb just got me thinking, yes, I might like this. It says inside, a young mother is alienated by the small talk of a new mum's coffee morning. Yep, check, been there. A poet achieves success after 30 years of writing, only to discover that nobody understands what he is saying. A father loses his shoes at a children's party. A grandfather shares the pain and pleasure of his 80th birthday with his baby granddaughter, and in the title story, a sensible young woman who everyone thinks of as a supergirl has her reputation thrown into jeopardy when an unexpected caller arrives at her babysitting job. So I just think this sounds good. Apparently it is delicately poised on the cusp of melancholy, fragility and folly. Her stories offer a fresh take on the contradiction of human nature. So fingers crossed, this is a short story collection for me. Okay, next up. This one I saw when I was with Tracy from Flamingo Reads, and we were both like, oh yes, we like the sound of this one. And it's called Mrs. Sinclair's Suitcase, and it's by Louise Waters. So I'm going to read you again the back because this just sounds brilliant. It says, Roberta likes to collect the letters and postcards she finds in second-hand books. So that instantly I was like, right, yeah. When her father gives her some of her grandmother's belongings, she finds a baffling letter from the grandfather she never knew, dated after he'd supposedly died in the war. Dorothy is unhappily married to Albert, who is away at war. When an aeroplane crashes in the field behind her house, she meets squadron leader Jan Pietrowski, and as their bond deepens, she dares to hope she might find happiness. But fate has other plans for them both, and soon she is hiding a secret so momentous that its shockwaves will touch her granddaughter many years later. Mrs. Sinclair's Suitcase is a heartbreaking debut novel about family secrets, soulmates and missed opportunities, and I just think this sounds brilliant. The next book I picked up is called Confessions of a Fallen Angel by Ronan O'Brien. I love the cover of this. I just think it's really beautiful. This is a story of a young man. After an accident, he is able to see the deaths of those closest to him. He sees them in dreams. And after trying to save one of his friends from drowning, he sort of puts into motion a set of events that change his life. He sort of finds solace in the arms of his wife, and this is the story of what happens, and I just think it sounds really intriguing. So I'm taking a bit of a punt on this one and a leap of faith, and hope that I enjoy it. Next I picked up This Is a Love Story by Jessica Thompson, just because I loved the cover and I thought it sounded like a really sweet and fun read. It's about a young couple, Sienna and Nick. They fall in love and it's just about their love story. There's obviously going to be something going on. It says Sienna is very fragile and she's got secrets, and he's not very serious. So I think this is going to be interesting, and hopefully it'll be a sweet love story. And then I have to say, this final book is the one that I am most excited about. I picked it up just on a whim to read the back, and as I was reading it I was like, oh yes, 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 I definitely need to get this. And it is The Barbarian Nurseries by Hector Tabar. So it's about a woman, and she is married. She lives in LA with her husband and her children, and she lives in a gated community. All she thinks about is, you know, making the perfect home and making things look great. And then she finds out from her husband that they are going to be broke and things have to change. And after one night of an argument, she leaves the house with the baby and leaves, but doesn't realise that the husband has already left, and they both end up leaving the two other children in the house alone. When they get back and they discover what they have done, the children are missing, and rather than admit to what they have done wrong, they lie and they accuse their Mexican maid. And this is the story of the media circus. It's the story of what happens, the repercussions, and I just think it sounds brilliant, and I can't wait to see it unravel. So I'm really excited about this one. So anyway, that's all the books I've bought recently. Have you bought any books recently? Have you read any good books recently? Have you read any of these? Can you say if any of them were any good? Let me know as always, and let's chat in the comments. Bye for now, BookTube.